Nova Online, the greasy fella all over your For You page making the least descriptive food reviews known to man. A fella who you'd know if you've watched before has plenty of allegations along with proven instances of interactions involving people under the age of 18 in a manner incredibly inappropriate. So in the midst of this known predator's recent hectic life following the two protests turned jokes performed outside of his house, his business partner who answered phone calls switching up and betraying him, and steeping as low as attempting to sell or donate his own bodily fluids for extra food money despite having all sorts of mystery ailments, has now had his Reddit account exposed by Bloodspeth just yesterday, and man is it awful. Who would have thought a Discord mod predator would also spend his time unemployed terrorizing Reddit users? So why don't we get after that and maybe a little bit more afterwards. So starting this off, just to keep everything in mind, all of this takes place roughly around, late 2024, beginning of 2025 when he made all these posts. At the very least, the ones we're going to go through today. And easing us into the horrors that is this guy's Reddit account, we have something just proving it's him right off the bat. We have in r/car repair, grandmother and I had a mishap at Sonic. How much would it cost with Car Shield insurance? Highlighting a photo he took of this little dent that was right above the door handle that apparently they got into some sort of fender bender at Sonic, and you can see the chome very clearly outlined in all his glory in the reflection. Now again, before we get into some of the worst of it, we have a post he made in r/vent talking about how angry he is with his biggest enemy. He goes, "I am super pissed off at my biggest enemy. Disclaimer, these are not my colleagues' real names." He goes on to say, "Let's start on Friday. At about midnight, I get a text from one of my coworkers, let's call her Paula. I get a text from her claiming that one of my other coworkers, Michael, was taking a fifth off extra hours and that I got a day off. I then asked if I could take over for a day I was supposed to be off the day I'm writing this, New Year's Day. She then said I could. Little did I know, this was never my coworker, and actually someone who's hated me for a while." Fast forward to January 1st, the day as of writing this, I still have to work and my manager, let's call him Jay, sorry, I can't do the Nova voice anymore, says that I no-showed on Saturday. I was so confused as since he was the manager, I thought he knew since Paula said management had bugged her about the situation. So after crying and venting to some of my long-distance friends about the situation, I came to notice that Paula never texted me. So the second that Jay comes over to his office, I tried to explain the text and showed him the number they were sent from. "OP, that isn't Paula's number," said Jay. And at that point, I became thoroughly pissed off. A little backstory on this troll, let's call him Richard, is another name for dick because he is a dick. This guy started prank texting my number on October 15th. He christened himself with the nickname Regal Eagle. It's kind of ironic because that day I saw the Eras Tour movie at Regal Cinema. He started texting my number and harassing me pretty much daily on text now numbers, so I can't track where he's calling from. How he got my number, I don't know. So the number that texted me claiming to be Paula was actually Richard. At the time of writing, I still have my job, but I have to call my manager tomorrow, and I highly doubt I'll have it by then. I'll make an update post tomorrow. Peace out. So this Regal Eagle fella, for anyone who doesn't remember, was a really big troll of Nova's for a very long time. Very obviously, he was deeply involved with messing with Nova nearly on the daily. And at one point, I believe he was even an admin on the Nova Online wiki, but I believe he was removed for some reason. But that was a long time ago now. As you can tell, Nova hasn't had a job in well over a year. And the next job he had after that was only kept for around 5 hours, I believe, because he let his manager know after he was hired that he didn't feel comfortable working around minor coworkers. Now, the way that comes off to me is that he didn't feel like he could control himself, but who knows? Either way, that manager made the right decision in firing Nova that very same day. But now that my fellow grubs have been all warmed up, we're going to get into some of the worst of it. So what we're looking at now are some of the subreddits that he was into. Or if you don't know how Reddit works, this is sort of like a little community that you could join, each and every one of these things. And going down the list, we have r/sissy chastity, then r/diaper humiliation ABDL, then r/ask Reddit, which is a place where you can go for advice, and then r/post falls, of course. You know why he's in r/post falls. It's the town he hails from. Now, we're going to read through some of his posts, and I have to warn you, some of it is hard to get through. I might skip through some of it too. But we've got him posting an r/age regression, ready for little time tonight with a smiley face. And remember, this is a 19-year-old man at this point that he's posting this. And just as a little reminder, too, as to why we really don't like when he gets into this age regression stuff, I'll point you to the Nova Files, which is a very long group of conversations that he had with someone who is 4 years under the age of 18 while he was age playing as a baby, showing off his diaper, being very incredibly inappropriate. But if you notice here, there's a JPEG image attached to this post. Now, I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking at here, but it appears to be those blue dog diapers that he got caught having in the background of one of his videos forever ago. The really weird kind that has the dog's behind and way too much detail on the other end of the diaper, along, of course, with his pacifier, the dinosaur baby outfit, and some form of mittens that I'm assuming is supposed to restrict some movement. I'm guessing from some of the comments he made underneath this post answering people. And yeah, this is incredibly horrifying to look at. I shudder at the thought of what he got up to in this attire. And knowing his tendencies, one can only hope he was only talking to people over the age of 18 while doing this. But knowing him, the chances of that are pretty slim. And these would be some of the replies underneath that post where he goes, someone doesn't want me fidgeting with my diaper, so until she says I have to wear them, replying to those little mittens, I believe. Then he goes, it's so I don't mess with my diaper. She says I have to wear them. And then they're really nice. They are hook and loop, so if you prefer the adhesive tapes, there's other ones. I'd just like to say for a moment, I don't care what anyone's into as long as you get up to it with consenting adults, of course. I mean, the stuff Nova gets into, even if it was with a consenting adult, I really can't get behind. I don't think that there's ever really pure intentions behind this sort of thing. However, just keep that between two adults. But then we have him posting this, I'm not reading it. And then we have him highlighting how long he's been inside of this cage, I guess. And I'm just going to let you guys figure out what exactly that is on your own using context clues. But that really can't be hygienic if he's been sitting in that thing for 2 weeks. That's incredibly disgusting. But as anyone who's seen him crawling around on his bathroom floor, that is far from the grossest thing he's ever done. And now, as awful as all of that was, as a little bit of a palate cleanser, I guess you could call this, we're gonna go through all the times he tried his hardest to sympathy bait on Reddit, sometimes getting the post taken down. But it's just so crazy to see that through every twist and turn, he's always trying to gain sympathy points from random people on the internet to console him and get other people to solve all his problems for him. But we have him in r/ask Reddit, why do I feel like crying for no reason? Then in r/vent, my life has been shit these past 2 weeks and my therapist can no longer help me. Which was removed, which he tried to circumvent by adding trigger warning trauma dump underneath it to try to, farm some more sympathy points while following the rules of r/vent to no avail because it seemingly got promptly removed. Then we have him in r/looking for friendship, 20M if you want to chat, looking for some friends to make. Now, given how long this was allowed to stay up on the internet, I really hope that no one under the age of 18 who happened to be browsing that page didn't decide they wanted to make a mature friend that day. Because one, Lord knows this guy is not mature whatsoever. And two, we know he's an opportunistic predator, so this PDF file would for sure seize the moment if that were the case. Then we have Nova posting an r/depression, are frequent mood swings GA a symptom of depression? And then underneath responding to a comment, he goes, my therapist dropped me recently, so I don't have a vital life support. So, of course, the chome is all over the place with this Reddit account, deep into weird Gooner subreddits, asking for advice for his grandma, then begging strangers to console him for hardship in his life, all things that should probably be kept to separate accounts, at least the Gooner stuff. Look, what are we doing here, guy? But no, he likes the humiliation of it all. Deep down, he probably knew people would eventually find this out and figure out it was him. Though this was the least obviously him account I've ever seen. I mean, the guy made his Chome Hub account Spicy Novine Uni, but this username was impressive _owl _5604. I don't know, but thankfully we have yet to see the worst photo contained within this Reddit leak. We'll just have to say it relates back to what was posted on that Chome Hub account from what I've heard. But now that we've gotten through the worst of it all, the saddest of it all, we'll just finish off with what else was contained within this account. We have him asking people in r/ask Reddit, Why have I been frequently changing mood swings since the 14th of February? Kind of sympathy baiting yet again. Then yet again in Ask Reddit, what is the best way to give yourself some compassion in a trying time? Following that in the same subreddit, what is the best way to help someone with their mental health? And then, what does it mean to cry at the end of a movie? I mean, this guy truly is an incredible thinker of the 21st century. He's asking all the really deep, important questions for the masses to figure out for him. I don't know. This just kind of screams to me something maybe a 10-year-old or an 11-year-old first getting access to the internet might Google after their mom took away their Xbox or something and they're having a really hard time dealing with it. And then, surprise, surprise, we have Mr. I don't keep up with lolcows posting frequently in the r/Daniel Larson subreddit to someone saying, upvote this if you've ever been blocked by Daniel at least once, to which he replies, nope. Never interacted with him. Somehow bragging, I guess, about never having interacted with the lolcow. I mean, how could he have possibly lived out that beautiful relationship with Tofia then? And then, of course, and not to dog on any Taylor Swift fans, but of course he likes Taylor Swift. He goes, do you guys think Taylor will re-record her first album as the Taylor's version? Lastly, we have an r/DoorDash drivers. Hello, I'm new to dashing. I have a question for any bike dashers out there. I wanted to know how big the radius was when it came to biking with DoorDash. Any and all help is appreciated. Thank you. And I'm sure he put the 3 replies of advice that he got to good use in the less than 10 orders he's fulfilled in his lifetime. But that and just about does it for Nova terrorizing the platform that is Reddit. That's yet another leak in the books for Nova Online. And until this predator gets put in jail, I'm sure it's not the last leaks you guys will see of Nova Online. Anyways, I really appreciate anyone who made it all the way through today's video. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, unless you're you know who. Don't forget to like or hype up the video if you want to support, and maybe even subscribe if you're looking to see another video just like this one. But that's all for today. Later, Grubbas.